Hi guys, how you doing? Senior Gaming here, and I'm bringing you Slayer Legend with a soul weapon. So if you're Slayer Legend player or perhaps idle gamer, then make sure you subscribe to the channel as I post as often as possible and bring you best tips and advice. And if you enjoy what you see, then hit that like button as well. Right then guys, so we finally managed to get our soul weapon in Europe. And what I mean by that, actually this is pretty unique when it comes to this game itself, that depending where you actually playing from, you might have a different version of this very game. So actually in the different regions, this game has a certain aspect that in Europe might only be available in a few weeks time. And I can see that more likely Europe is the mostly behind. So obviously that also allows me only to give you a concept of the game and a content coverage, only what I've got available. So the soul weapon has landed in Europe just a few days ago, and obviously I have managed to do a little bit of digging in the background beforehand, as well as now see it in action, and therefore I will be releasing this video. So if we now head over into equipment itself, obviously a third tab. Now in a weapon section itself, you're gonna have this new tiny icon added. It's not really something that massively stands out, but if you tap on it, now you can have benefits from a soul weapon itself. And basically in a very simple concept, this is something which will now influence your overall attack, and this is just additional content that now allows you to farm additional resources and turn it into more attack and obviously more offense. So obviously first things first, what you see on top is a 3 different resources that you'll be able to grind, and each area that you're going to grind will have a certain advantage when it comes to one of these specific souls, but bear in mind you will be still dropping others alongside. So as you see, clearly we've got here a green color, blue and red. We also got a white, and white there is something that when you just launch the game after update, you had quite handful of these white souls available, and every single time when you do a breakdown of the weapon, you will be rewarded with a white souls, and I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a second. So if we obviously just tap on it, as you see, this will be obtained from a monsters in each region. So if I just tap on a region that I'm farming currently now, as you see, because we are in a sand plain, here the region itself will have a slight advantage when it comes to a green souls. If I would then go, for instance, to Land of Hate, this is where we're gonna farm most of the red ones. So obviously this is again another aspect where you can always come back to certain areas if you wanna grind a little bit more of that soul. So coming back into that very aspect, as mentioned about the white soul itself, so there are 2 elements. If now, as you see, I got 476, now I'm able to exchange my wild souls into any of the souls I would like. And this is obviously useful when you grind towards your next weapon, etc. And then when I mentioned also you can do it from a breakdown, so what does it exactly mean? So as you see, currently I have managed to unlock a very first 6 soul weapons. And if I would go for a very first one that I haven't actually gone for, I would craft it with a 2000 souls, and obviously you need a certain weapon time as well, so you would have to go and spend some premium currency and obviously summon a weapon itself if you're missing this one out. And as you see, whilst equipping this very soul weapon, I would gain 6300 attack. Bear in mind you can only own and equip one weapon at a time. So there is no point of crafting every single one of them, especially if they're weaker. So you can always go higher, because this will obviously turn into more attack. So if I would have this very weapon and then I would upgrade into coolness, which I haven't done already because I straight grind and I exchange all my white souls as well into a red souls and managed to get desire pretty much within a very first day. So rather than going for 6300 or 9750, I went directly for over 14k of attack. And obviously the next stage is to get a next weapon which will now add over 33,000. And because now obviously I'm trying to grind 75,000 of a green souls, and considering I only got 7,000, you got actually opportunity to speed that process up. So what I mean by that? So if I will go down now and break down this very weapon, I will be able to slice my original spending by half and turn it into white souls. So if I spend 28,000 whilst doing a breakdown, I will be able to gain 14,000 wild souls and obviously then transfer it into any souls I want. Bear in mind at the same time, you won't be able to break down the weapon you currently have equipped, so you'll have to ideally have next one unlocked, or perhaps you might even flick into something slightly weaker for a time being. So if you, for instance, got now, let's say I need 75, obviously I would get 14 out of here. So if I'm getting close to a 60,000, I will be then able to flick into a different weapon just for the sake of equipping that and then breaking this down and getting this additional 14,000, which then would allow me to have a next weapon. So it's a little bit obviously of strategy involved, but ideally probably you want to grind into the next one and only then a break sort of a 2 levels below, so you always can afford this breakdown rather than sort of getting yourself weaker. But now when it comes to a total sort of info when it comes to this weapon, as you see, I have managed to get a first 6, and as you're gonna keep progressing and unlocking stages, you will be unlocking more of this weapon. And there is a total of actually 9 different sets. So what I mean by sets, so obviously the first one requires you a green, then blue, and then red, and we're going back to green, blue and red, and this is obviously a 1 set, and I'm currently only on a second, and we've got a 9 sets in total all the way to stage 600, and currently I'm at stage 182. So there is a 27 weapon to be unlocked, so there is obviously still plenty and plenty of grind involved, but this is pretty much where we are. And now another element I need to touch base on this one is obviously how to farm efficiently these souls. So again, if you come back to your map itself, if you tap on the details, you'll be able to see how many monsters you've got per wave. And as you see on this one, I've got 12, so it's in here, and if I sort of flick back, I can see I've got some of them got 8, some of them got 4, so you need to actually try to aim in stages where you can squeeze as many monsters per wave as possible. And the maximum monsters per wave is only 18. And as you see, currently I do not have any of the stages with this amount of monsters per map. So currently I'm going with my max, which is 12. But obviously if I find something on 18, this is where you want to put your focus. Despite this might not be your highest stage, you want to actually be able to kill as many monsters as possible, and in the long term this should benefit you with obviously unlocking a next soul weapon. So I think that will be it, guys, when it comes to a very first intro to a soul weapon itself. Perhaps if I unlock some more, I might release another video just to give you a little bit more tips, but in general the basic ones is obviously we dropping souls out of mobs. You want to go with as high density, which means as many monsters actually per wave in a map you are grinding, and you've got also an option to break down your old weapon and then turn it into your desired soul. So that will be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you next time.